The world has already ended 5 times. Not metaphorically. 5 separate moments where most life on this planet was wiped out, sometimes over thousands of years, once in a single afternoon. And right now, scientists are split on an uncomfortable question. Are we already living through the 6th? Some say the evidence is undeniable. Others say it's nowhere close. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why. But first, you need the first 5. 444 million years ago, there were no trees, no flowers, nothing alive on land at all. Every meaningful form of life was packed into warm, shallow seas. Then, a massive landmass drifted over the South Pole, and snowfall there simply stopped melting. Glaciers locked up so much water that sea levels collapsed. An ice age set in for up to 400,000 years. The species that adapted to the cold barely had time to settle in before the ice melted just as suddenly, flooding the oceans and draining them of oxygen in the process. 85% of marine species never made it through both halves of that whiplash. By 372 million years ago, Earth finally had forests, the first ones spreading fast, with roots reaching deeper into the ground than anything before them. That should have been good news for the planet. Instead, those roots tore apart so much rock and soil that rainfall carried the runoff straight into the oceans, triggering algae blooms on a massive scale. Algae blooms consume oxygen as they decay, and entire stretches of ocean turned into dead zones. The first forests on Earth helped suffocate the sea. About 75% of species didn't survive it. 252 million years ago, nearly all of Earth's land had fused into one supercontinent, and life on it had genuinely taken off. Then, volcanic eruptions in what's now Siberia didn't stop, not for years, but for hundreds of thousands of years, pumping enough CO2 and toxic gas into the sky to heat the entire planet by 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. Oceans lost oxygen on a scale the planet had never seen. Land and sea ecosystems failed at nearly the same time. Up to 96% of marine life and 70% of land vertebrates were gone. Scientists still call it simply the Great Dying, the single largest extinction in Earth's history. Life clawed its way back, as it always somehow does. New predators rose, and almost as an afterthought, the first true dinosaurs appeared, small, unremarkable, in charge of nothing. Then, 201 million years ago, the supercontinent began tearing itself apart, triggering another wave of volcanic eruptions lasting up to 1 million years. The same pattern played out again. A heated planet, suffocating oceans, roughly 75% of all species lost. But this time, the dominant reptiles that should have outcompeted the small dinosaurs didn't make it through. The dinosaurs did. With almost nothing left to compete against, they spent the next 135 million years running the place. 66 million years ago, something the size of a small city was falling toward Earth at tens of thousands of miles an hour, and nothing alive had any way of knowing. It hit what's now Mexico with the force of billions of atomic bombs. A wall of water over 1 mile high tore across the ocean. Earthquakes shook the ground for thousands of miles. Within hours, falling debris set fire to entire continents. Within days, a cloud of ash had wrapped around the whole planet, and that darkness may have lingered for up to a decade, long enough to stop photosynthesis almost completely. 75% of all species on Earth were gone, including every dinosaur that wasn't small enough, lucky enough, or distant enough from that one impact site to become the ancestor of modern birds. 5 extinctions, 5 different killers. Every single time, life found its way back, but it took millions of years to do it. So does what's happening on Earth right now actually qualify as a 6th one? Scientists genuinely don't agree. Researchers at the Natural History Museum in London point to one number. Current extinction rates are estimated at 100 to 1,000 times higher than the natural background rate, sometimes cited even higher. A widely cited study by ecologists Gerardo Ceballos and Paul Ehrlich used a deliberately conservative method and still found modern vertebrate extinction rates far above anything that should be happening without human interference. From that angle, the conclusion is simple. Deforestation, habitat loss, and climate change are doing in centuries what once took a supervolcano or an asteroid. Different cause, same label, they argue. A more recent 2025 analysis by evolutionary ecologists John Wiens and Kristen Sabin pushes back hard. Every one of the 5 recognized mass extinctions wiped out at least 75% of species. When they measured modern losses against that same bar, they found less than 2% of mammal genera have gone extinct in the last 500 years, and under 0.5% across all groups studied. Wiens put the gap bluntly. It's nowhere close to 75%. His point isn't that biodiversity loss is fine. It's that calling today's crisis a mass extinction before it's anywhere near historical scale risks blurring 2 very different problems: a real, accelerating emergency and an actual planet-reshaping catastrophe. Strip away the disagreement over the label, and both sides agree on the part that actually matters. Extinction rates are far above anything nature alone would produce. Humans are driving it, and the trajectory only gets worse without serious intervention. Every one of the first 5 extinctions looked, from the inside, like just another stretch of bad years. Nobody living through the Great Dying knew they were inside the worst extinction event in the planet's history. And nobody watching the sky 66 million years ago had any reason to think that particular day was different from the one before it. We might be the first species capable of recognizing the pattern while we're still inside it. Whether there's a 6th chapter to add to that list isn't up to the fossil record. It's up to what happens next.